Just south of Seneca Lake, amongst the rolling vineyards, sits a road course rich in history, known as the birthplace of post-war road racing in North America. Welcome to Watkins Glen International. I'm Eliza Bethel alongside Pete Ruzick, and we are here for a fun race tonight. Pete, how you doing?
Eliza, I'm feeling a whole lot better than I was last week. Thank you very much for carrying the full torch at Auto Club. Watch the stream, phenomenal race. But yeah, tonight it's all about Watkins Glen Raceway, Watkins Glen, New York. The traditional NASCAR style, the boot has been excluded. How are you?
I am doing great. We have 62 laps here tonight. It's going to be a fun one. These guys always have a phenomenal race at these road courses. We do have a couple of changes to note, though. We normally do have 4 tires in a race, but since we are at another road course, we're only going to have 2 tonight. And also for stages, Pete, I don't even know if you know this, but for stages, this is going to be new. We are not going to bring out a caution for stages. We will count on the said lap. We'll give the bonus points out, but a caution itself will not come out.
Or you're going to give those guys up in the admin tower a little bit more to do, trying to keep get a clip of the top 10 just as they all cross the start stripe. That's absolutely amazing. And back to the tires, you're absolutely right. I was spotting for Brian McCann that's actually here this evening recently at a Sonoma test or Sonoma race, and you can go on some of these road courses without taking tires, or maybe just taking 2, depending on what the balance of the car is. So the strategies are going to be abound this evening. Cannot wait to see who comes out on top when it's all said and done.
Absolutely. Brian just looking so incredibly fast out here. I can tell you guys, he was the fastest consistently in practice with I do believe it was a 1:13.7, Pete. So absolutely flying about a half a second faster than the remainder of the field.
Yeah, we were talking about Brian McCann and Andrew Wisdom, the guy that has literally won every single one of the road course races in Shake and Bake throughout all 4 seasons before Andrew Wisdom unfortunately had to take some kind of time off. But I wanted to see exactly what kind of a challenge Brian McCann would be to Andrew, because I know how good he is on these courses. I think it's really going to be a tough battle for Justin Anisgok and Francis Hamilton and a few others that shown to be very, very fast in practice when it comes time for that green flag to drop.
Absolutely. We are in qualifying right now, and you see that we have road course up, so it's going to take a little bit longer to get those scores on the board, but Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, a 1:14.1, so absolute phenomenal lap time, but then immediately Brian McCann on the board with a 1:13.7, pretty much what we saw in practice. So he is on par already with what he had. These drivers will have 10 minutes in qualifying to do what they need to do to get those laps in. Remember, they're about a second or a minute and 13 seconds, 14 seconds per lap. And they have a total of 3 laps they're going to do. So we have a little bit before qualifying is over, Pete.
Yeah, a little bit more, and like you said, minute 13, minute 14, some a little bit longer. But I give credit to everybody that's out here, whether you're a road course ringer or someone that struggled on them like me. I got to give them credit for coming out, trying to gain max points and go on with the season. There's a whole lot of racing yet to go this season before we even get to the playoffs. And man, not everybody's good at turning rights where, NASCAR is traditionally ovals.
That is so true. I mean, we've had a road race already this season. We did Road America earlier on, and that was Wisdom who took that win. He is, as Pete said, not in the season, so it's going to be very interesting to see who takes that win tonight. And you can see Forrest Smith getting very loose coming off that corner. And these cars, turn 1 is going to be an issue. I always say that for every road course. You're probably tired of me saying it. But even on a normal lap when they're spread out, turn 1 is just a difficult corner to get to. It goes downhill, and you really have to put heavy braking on before you get down that hill in order to slow up enough to not spin yourself out around turn 1. So that's something we're going to have to watch throughout the race. We're going to see a couple of spin-offs, one-car spin-off, I would say, during the race.
Yeah, I would say you're definitely right, because the adrenaline's going to get going and it's going to get a little heavy on that throttle pedal. The car may not be ready for all that just yet, and they'll come around. We've seen that multiple times at different tracks, and not just on a road course, but also on ovals. These Xfinity cars have proven to be pretty difficult this season since iRacing changed up a lot of the setups. But I got to say, during practice, a lot of guys were really keeping these cars under them. Didn't hear too many complaints from the drivers as qualifying rolls on. So far, so good.
Yeah, they're still moving. And I can tell you we have 3 cars in the 113s. How about that? Brian McCann with a 113.47. Absolutely flying out there. We have Jimmy Cocker, who is P2 currently, a 113.83, and Jonathan Jurgensmeyer in the 113s with a .88, and then we have Justin Anasagak. He's going to be out there with a P4 114.05. So these guys definitely, I feel like the speed's increasing just a little bit, Pete.
Oh yeah, and they're gonna get better and better as the evening goes on. Taking a quick look of the weather, it looks like right now track temp is right around 112 with a 75-degree air temp. Sim times right around between 2 o'clock and 2:10 in the afternoon. But Elijah, there's about a 20-mile-per-hour wind out there. That may play a little bit of havoc on these guys getting into some of these corners. We'll have to kind of keep an eye on that as well as the race rolls on.
Absolutely. We have to talk about the tire wear here. Road courses are known to last really, really long on the tires. You're going to get around 30 laps, I would say, in a fuel run. Those tires, you're really going to feel it after lap 27. So some of these strategies might be a little different. It's going to be interesting to see what these guys do. 62 laps for tonight, and you get around 30 laps. So you really have to plan out what you're going to do to make sure that you are up there in the top 3 or so to finish tonight. Playoffs are coming, and it's so important that you have those points on the board if you have not gotten a win.
Yeah, and I tell you, with the stage breaks happening but not happening, they're not going to have the ability to pull down pit road, grab the fuel, grab the tires at the end of stage 1, and again at the end of stage 2. They're not going to see what that wear is like until they actually come down pit road. And if they can go that far, they may actually not have be able to pick up on the tire wear that they've got until it's too late? Do they take 4 where they're still at 94, 95% on the right hand sides, and maybe mid to high 90s also on the lefts? It's gonna be interesting to see who takes tires, who doesn't, and who just goes for all out track position.
It's so very true. And while we're waiting for these guys to finish up with qualifying, let's take a look at the point standings. Justin Anasagak, he is still in the lead with 397 points. We're going to have Jimmy Cocker, who's having a great run tonight so far. P2 on the speed charts. He has 355 points, about 42 points behind our leader. Brendan Book, who is just coming off of a win, he gains 3 spots, moving up to P3 in the point standings with 325. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, he's P4 with 319. And Brody Falliker, he's going to round out the top 5 in standings with 317.
Like Allard moved up 1 spot last week. He's going to move up to 300 points and 97 points back behind our leader, Justin Anasagak. Next going to be Francis Hamilton with 280. Andrew Wisdom continues to fall as he's not really racing much anymore. 279, 260 for Tom Flitcroft in that 8. And to round out the top 10, Josh Taylor, 227, 170 points behind Justin Anasagak. So very, very tight top 10 in between first through 6th. Anything can happen in, within 100 points. After that, it's a pretty tight battle as well between 9th through 6th. And then Josh Taylor back down there with 170. He's got to try to keep an eye on Joseph Berg when we're talking about the top 12 coming into the playoffs a little bit later on.
Absolutely. I mean, these guys are still so many points up for grabs. Remember, stage points are a huge thing, and Justin Anasagak, he has grabbed so many stage points out there and so many stage wins. That is definitely helping him as we are getting ready to go into playoffs. But Pete, he has yet to get a win out there. I wonder if tonight can be one of them, but Brian McCann, he is looking so incredibly strong. I will not be surprised if he brings home the checkered tonight.
Brian McCann won the season opener at Daytona. He didn't have the best showing a couple weeks ago at Dover. He actually felt really, really bad about wrecking. He took 2 tires, and as the race went on, it did not go his way. I even went back to go and rewatch his Twitch stream, and he took it down. So I reached out to him in Discord and say, hey, I saw your broadcast wasn't there. He goes, Pete, I feel like such an idiot. I feel so bad. So he took Josh Taylor out, and he felt like to say he was sorry is an understatement.
Yeah, I think we've all had those races where, I mean, just from what I've seen from Brian so far, he's a clean racer. So for that to happen, he feels awful. And I think we have all been there, and he's just been a phenomenal racer from what we've seen this season. He is obviously part-time, and I'm glad to see him out here once again tonight, and the speed is just absolutely incredible that he's showing. It's going to be a fun one for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait to see exactly how all this transfers over into the race. Track temps coming down a little bit more cloud cover from 111 down to 108. Still the same air temp, 75 degrees. 231 is the sim time. But you look at everybody there in the practice times, everybody very, very quick.
Absolutely. I want to go ahead and take a look at the track analysis tonight for Watkins Glen. 62 laps for the race length. We're going to have no faster pairs, no surprise there. Stages are going to be 12 laps for stage 1, 12 laps for stage 2, and 38 for the final stage. But remember, we are not going to put these drivers under caution. It's just whoever finishes out in the top 10 will get those bonus points. So our admin, our race control are going to be extremely busy, and you can see these guys are really pushing the limit right now. I just saw Francis Hamilton get spun around, coming around that corner, but tire sets 2. So they have a lot of strategy to be thinking about. It's a lot on the line, and you can see Jimmy Cocker with that left front damage.
Yeah, a little bit of damage. Looks like where the fake headlight cover would be. Little damage there. He's got Brian McCann right behind, as well as some company up ahead. Looks like it's going to be the 77, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, Jimmy Cocker looking pretty strong in that Virginia Tech machine. I was talking to him just a little bit ago. I saw on the back of somebody's car it said "Exit Light, Enter Night." Very, very strong Metallica lyrics. And I saw a YouTube short, or maybe a Facebook short, or TikTok, whatever it was, of the entrance of the Virginia Tech football team onto the field, and that is the song that they play. They play "Enter Sandman." I never actually put that all together. Did not know that, and man, that makes so much sense. It's absolutely amazing to watch Virginia Tech's entrance onto the field.
Yeah, that's awesome to see. You see these guys putting in those laps. 114.27 for Brody Falliker. Honeycutt 114.63. They do have 5 minutes in the warm-up, and I do want to give a shout out. I keep looking at you guys out there in chat. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We're at another road course, our second of the season. Next week, we are headed to Richmond. It's going to be a fun one. Mr. Wrestling, what's up? I hope you're doing well. Savage, you guys, let me know, who do you think is going to get the win tonight? It is going to be Brian McCann out on pole, and we're going to have Jimmy Cocker to his side. So it's going to be extremely close, and I'm kind of excited. We've had Andrew Wisdom. I love Andrew to death. He is phenomenal at road courses, and he, I think, will always win them when he's out here in SnB. He's just so strong. With him not being here tonight, who do you think is going to win, Pete?
I'm pulling for Justin Anasagok just because of how close he's been, and he's been a friend of mine for years, going back to console and other leagues that were broadcasted. But at the same point, I know just how strong Brian McCann is on road courses. Can I pick two of them?
Sure, why not? Let's go with it.
How about you? Who you got?
I'm going Brian McCann. I just think he's so incredibly strong, and if he can hold on to that machine, I know it's going to get a little crazy towards the end of a fuel run if these guys really push it to the limit. So I just think that he's got the speed, and I think he's got what it takes tonight.
I tell you what, at the end of that warm-up, Brody Falliker, Luke Allen, Brendan Book, John Honeycutt, and Brian McCann were the fastest. So as we get ready to grid up, it was a completely different top five. That goes to show just how much traffic can play havoc in anybody's line in any race.
Absolutely, for sure. Well, let's go ahead and get this grid started here for Watkins Glen International. Mr. Brian McCann out there in that number 6 machine. He is going to be out on pole, leading the field to green. He's going to have Jimmy Cocker to his side in that 11 car. In row 2, we have Jonathan Jurgensmeyer alongside Justin Anasagok. And in row 3, we're going to have Brody Falliker in that 42 car. And he's going to have his teammate side by side, Francis Hamilton, in that 48 machine. Row 4, we're going to have Connor Cunningham in that 3 car with Brendan Book to his outside. And in row 5, we're going to have John Honeycutt in the 50 car with Jordan McGraw, an FTR teammate, to his outside.
And P11, Forrest Smith in that number 81, and round out the top 6 rows, talking about Matt Gale in the 67. P13 looks like Luke Allen in the 7 with Andrew Sanford in the 37 to his outside. P14, P15, Chris Karch in the number 40 with Josh Taylor in the deuce to round out row number 8. Row 9 looks like Jarrett Cardwell, Chris Karch's teammate in the 12. P17, Joe Bergen at 93, been very, very strong. It'll be interesting to see what kind of run he gets this evening. Going to start 18th. 19th is going to be that 8 of Tom Flitcroft. P19 again, Phil Bridgman in that 9 is going to round out the top 20.
21st is going to be Jeff Noe in that 14 car with Jose Ruiz in that 23 to his side. P23 is going to be Dylan C. Robb in the 16 car with Mike Campbell Jr. in that 71 machine starting P24th. And in 25th is going to be Chuck Cody for FIWB Esports and Kevin Dallator and P26. That is going to be your field tonight. And I see you out there, Savage. Thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate it. Myth, I see you out there. You guys are awesome. You're going to be in for a really, really fun race. And Savage, again, I appreciate it. 25 months. How about that?
25 months as a sub to your channel. That's mind blowing. And then you see some of the other ones that come across that say 48 months, 60 months, 70 months. Man,
No, it's
you have had a stranglehold on on the followers here for racing, whether it's heat or here on iRacing. I'm so happy, so proud to be broadcasting with you, Eliza. It's been a fun season so far. My last race of the season, possibly. I'm going to try to make it back after my move up to the tundra of New York State, where they average 8 feet of snow a year. Not so happy about that, but
Crazy.
I'm happy to be broadcasting with you. Happy to be about ready to set these guys on fire. See what it looks like going into turn one, coming off the last turn of the course before they take that green flag. Barney's got that flag in hand. Eliza, let's go racing.
All right, we're going to have Brian McCann leading us off as we go green here at Watkins Glen International. Here we go. And a great start for Brian McCann. He's got Jimmy Cocker to his outside as we head into turn one. And you can see, guys, already 3 wide. Luke Allen deep on that inside. We are going.
Yeah, but so far, so good. As I go back and kind of scroll through the field, no issues going into turn one. Looks like, yeah, they might have had to pull to the inside, pull to the outside, make sure they didn't rear end somebody going into one. But Eliza, so far, all clean. We're still green.
You know, it's pretty challenging going through the S's. You really have to nail that first part. If you do not get that, that is going to absolutely ruin your run. Going up to the straightaway, coming around to the bus stop. These guys, you have to really nail that bus stop. I mean, there's just so many different technical parts of that track that if you don't get it right, you're going to cost yourself so much time. And these drivers, they're doing a great job.
Yeah, they really are. And, at the exit of the carousel, I've really been watching not only, as they come through for the first time, but also in practice and in the warm-up. These cars are really swinging wide and turning back in before hitting that wall on the inside. Then I've seen in past. I don't know if it's just a change in these Xfinity cars. I don't recall anybody swinging out that wide in the truck or the next gen over the last few seasons, but it looks like Brian McCann's going to lead the first lap.
Absolutely. Here he comes, and he's got Jimmy Cocker directly behind him. But I'll tell you what, another thing, you have to mind your P's and Q's with those bounds. If you go out of bounds, that tire touches out of bounds and you get that incident point, we have the process where if you get 21 points, I do believe it is, for incident, you will have to go in and do a drive-through in every subsequent 10 incident points. So these drivers have so many different aspects to watch out for. Now, this first stage, Pete, it is 12 laps. We are not going to stop. There will be no caution, but I guarantee these drivers are still going to go for everything they can. But the difference is now, with no stage break, no caution coming out, the tires are going to be a bigger deal now.
Oh yeah, that's what we were touching on in pre-race. These guys at the end of stage one, they're not going to get a glimpse of what their tires are going to look like on the run. So do they come in early and maybe try to short pit a little bit, or do they run it all the way out and maybe try to cut this race exactly in half, which would be right around lap 31?
Yeah, it would be right around lap 31. Is very interesting. So you might have to do a little bit of fuel saving, I should say. We usually talk about tire saving, but tonight it might be more of a fuel saving effort. You get around 30, so it's going to cut it very close. We have 62 laps. So it is something that they're going to have to keep an eye on. I will not be surprised if we see a couple of drivers drop back a little bit just to make sure that they can get it to the long run.
Battle right now for P number 2, the 00 of Jurgensmeyer, right behind the 11 of Jimmy Cocker. Jimmy Cocker able to still hold on. And just as I say that, Brian McCann goes shake and bake purple, posting a time of 1:14.10. We're only on lap 3, so that tells me, Eliza, when you were talking about maybe saving a little bit of fuel, not so much for that 6 car.
Yes, these guys, it's just so competitive. They will drop in fuel if they need to. They will drop back a little bit, kind of take it easy. But right now, I think we're going to test out how far can we get. I don't expect any cautions tonight. Road courses are pretty darn clean. You really have to have the entire track completely blocked and no driver can get through in order for a caution to come out.
42, Brody Paliker is able to make his way on by Justin Ascock, so that put him back to P5, Brody up to P4. Their top three, though, Brian McCann, Jimmy Cocker, and Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, still holding serve right where they started. The same thing with the 48 Chevrolet for Francis Hamilton in P6. Forrest Smith and Matt Gale in P11 and P12. Behind them, a little bit more movement up and back throughout the field.
Jimmy Cocker lets Jonathan Jurgensmeyer go on by, pulled to the inside and let him go before they headed to the bus stop. And I know you guys see it as their wheels just hop going over those curbs. Absolutely insane. You're just holding on for your life, trying to get all the speed and momentum out of it and trying not to get crazy and turn that car around. So they are absolutely fine, but Jimmy Cocker moves back to third. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer up to second, and Brian McCann still leading the race.
Yeah, Brian's still leading, but I tell you what, once that 00 got by Jimmy Cocker, it looks like he's actually put a bit of a gap. So it looks like Jimmy Cocker might have been holding up Jonathan Jurgensmeyer just a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how that gap between the 00 either starts to extend or starts to shrink as gets closer and closer to Brian McCann.
Micah out there on vacation says, good luck to everyone tonight. Sorry I can't be there. I couldn't say no to a vacation. I don't blame you, Micah. He says, I'm picking Jordan McGraw. And let's go ahead and take a look at where Jordan McGraw is. He is out there currently P8. He is up 2 spots from where he started. You can see a new paint scheme for him. Going through the bus stop right there, he's got Brennan Book in front of him. Luke Allen behind him.
And another car, one more car back. It's going to be John Honeycutt, his Team FTR teammate, as it looks like something just happened with Honeycutt, I think. Is he going down? Did Honeycutt just lose? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he just lost connection. You know, it's been a thing with him. Technology is not his friend.
Yeah, I went to go pick him up, and all of a sudden I saw him tumbling through the field. I thought maybe he decided to go down pit road. But yeah, very, very unfortunate. Good thing is, because he was already registered on the race, he should be able to get back in and try to save as much as he can.
Yeah, he is one that has been plagued by being disconnected during the race, which is so unfortunate because there's so many times where he was doing pretty well and then just loses connection. So unfortunate time for him, but hopefully he can get back in. Pete, what do you say we go through the field, show all these drivers some love?
Let's go.
All right, Brian McCann, he is our leader. Man, huge jump over that curb, but doing phenomenal tonight. A 1:14.08 for him. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, that 00. He is out there 1 spot up from where he started. Jimmy Cocker, P3, and he's doing phenomenal in the point standings also. Let's take a look. Yeah, he is in second in the point standings. A great start for him. I'm loving that. Brody Paliker, P4, another FIWB teammate. He has 2 wins this season, Pete. And rounding out the top 5 is going to be Justin Anasagak. He has done phenomenal this season. No win yet. Maybe one tonight. We'll have to see, but he sits P5.
P6 looks like it's going to be Francis Hamilton in that 48. Started 6th, still running right there. Again, part of Team FIWB and his Detroit Tigers machine. Brendan, excuse me, my voice cracks. Yeah, hello. I'm only knocking on 50 years old. That's okay. He's up 1 spot right now to sit P at number 7. Jordan McGraw, who Mike Allard picks to win the race tonight, as you said, in that Team FTR number 34 Camaro. He's up 2 spots to P8. P9 looks like Luke Allen in his Camaro as well. That number 7 machine up 4 spots. And to round out the top 10, Matt Gale over from the UK, also up 10 to round out, up 2 to round out the top 10.
And 11th is going to be Forrest Smith in that 81 machine, a newer driver for this season. And it's great to see him out there sitting P11. He's right where he started. Doing phenomenal so far. Connor Cunningham, good grief, sitting P12. And I'll tell you what, Pete, he looked great in practice. So we'll see what he can do. But unfortunately, right now, he's dropped 5 positions from where he started. Hopefully he can gain that back. 13th is going to be Chris Karch. He sits 2 spots up from where he started in that 40 machine. Joe Berg in 14th for that 93 machine, up 4 spots from where he started. And Tom Flitcroft in that 8 machine, up 4 spots from where he started, sitting P15.
P16 up 1 in the 12 is going to be Jarrett Cardwell as he tries to continue to work his way on through the field. Behind him is going to be another Team FTR car for Jose Ruiz in that 23, sitting P17 up 5 spots. So Jose is starting to make just a little bit of noise. Josh Taylor in the deuce, down 2 spots for P18. P19 up 4 is going to be Dylan Robb in that number 16. Number 31 going to be Chuck Cody. He's up 5 to round out the top 20. And Eliza, there's still 6 more cars to go.
I know, it's crazy. Kevin Dallator, he is 21st in that 92 machine, up 5 spots from where he started. Andrew Sanford, I think he had some issues earlier on, possibly a self-spin, but he has lost 8 spots, sitting P22 in that 37 machine. Jeff No sits P23, down 2 spots from where he started in that 14 machine. Great to see him out there, though. Mike Papa Bear Campbell sitting 24th in that 71 machine. Philip Bridgman 25th, and John Honeycutt back out on the track after a disconnect. He sits 26th currently.
Back up front, not missing much. It's still Brian McCann. You mentioned it just as you were starting to go through the field. He put down the fastest lap of the evening with a 1:14.08. So far, Eliza, nobody in the field has really put down that high 113 like what we saw in practice and in qualifying. But Jonathan Jurgensmeyer and Jimmy Cocker, they're kind of holding serve with McCann. They're kind of swapping fastest laps every now and then, but still McCann leading, and Brody Falliker 4th, and Justin Anaskog 5th. So a little bit of give and take in the top 5, but that P1 spot still all Brian McCann.
Yeah, our top 9 drivers in the 14s currently. We'll see how it goes as the race moves on, but 2 more laps before we go into our first stage finish. No caution will come out, but bonus points will be awarded to our top 10 drivers, with the first driver to cross the line will be getting 10 bonus points, and the 10th place driver will receive 1 bonus point.
A point's a point, and when it comes time for the playoffs and they're all tallied up, that's where they will absolutely matter the most. So right now, the last person to receive a point would be Matt Gale. He's up 2 spots, running P10. Luke Allen just ahead of him, followed by Jordan McGraw, Brendan Book, and Francis Hamilton. So from 10 points all the way down to 1, every single position is extremely important.
Absolutely. It looks like Brian McCann is the only one that is currently in the 14s. Everyone else is in the 15s or beyond. He's about 4/10 faster than the next driver. Jurgensmeyer is just over 1.5 seconds back. We'll see if he can't catch him. He obviously has the speed, but we'll see. Brody Falliker has moved up to 3rd. Jimmy Cocker down to 4th. So these 2 drivers are going for a battle, and this is for P3.
And I just mentioned that the top 3 have been throwing fastest laps back and forth. Jurgensmeyer, over the last 5 laps, he's actually been faster than Brian McCann 3 of those laps, sometimes by as little as about 700, give or take. 1 lap, actually the last lap, lap 10, by almost 4/10, and just over 2/10 on lap number 8. So Jurgensmeyer in that 00, he's starting to see that number 6 get bigger and bigger in the windshield. We might have a battle for the lead before we know it.
Yeah, we will definitely see here. These guys, lap 11 of 62. We're going to make our way into lap 12. pretty quickly here. So our top 10 drivers: McCann, Jurgensmeyer, Brody Falliker, Jimmy Cocker, Justin Anasagok, Francis Hamilton, Brendan Book, Jordan McGraw, Luke Allen, and Matthew Gale. They will be receiving at the end of lap 12 going into 13. They will be receiving those extra bonus points. And with playoffs, it's so incredibly important. Chloe, I see you out there. Have a great night. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Hope you have a good night.
Now, looking back at Forrest Smith and P11, that's right where he started. I mean, he could see Matt Gale not too far up ahead of him, just about 2 seconds up. There's plenty of time to make some spots up. Maybe not at the at the end of stage 1, but as stage 2 rolls along, and of course before the race is over.
Yeah, some of these guys are extremely close. And let's go back up to the lead here. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, he is quickly approaching Brian McCann. We are just at a second, and we were just a lap or so ago about almost 2 seconds behind. It was 1.77. He is quickly approaching Brian McCann, but I don't know that it's going to be enough to take the stage win.
Sorry about that. We definitely know, Jurgensmeyer's been very, very fast in that 00. He does have a win on the season, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Yeah, he does have one win. I believe it was at Bristol, if I'm not mistaken. So he definitely wants to get on up there and say, hey, these max stage points, they're mine. I'm full time. You're part time. I deserve them. You don't. I'm big. You're small. No, anyway, Jurgensmeyer definitely wants to get on up there, take the lead, and grab max points for himself.
Stage 2 officially starts, and you can see all the drivers in the top 10 that have received a bonus point, all the way down to Matthew Gale, who receives that last bonus point. So congratulations to them as they get those points. And stage 2 begins for another 12 laps. Is still on the run. Brian McCann still in the lead, and it's going to be Jonathan Jurgensmeyer a second behind. Brody Falliker is going to be in third, 4.75 behind. Jimmy Cocker right behind his teammate. He's about 3 seconds back, and then we have Justin Anasagok running out that top 5.
Yeah, I tell you what, Brody Falliker, he's really made up a whole lot of time as he gets very, very loose off the exit of turn 6, going through turn 7 to come down the front stretch. That 42 is pretty much been on rails. But talking about Jurgensmeyer and the time that he's been closing on Brian McCann, not this last lap, but the lap before that, he closed up by 0.6, Eliza. Now down to 1.2 ahead. Catching somebody is one thing, passing them, as they say, something completely different.
Yeah, you can see down on the bottom here, Jurgensmeyer and even Falliker, it looks like he is about a half a second faster than Jonathan Jurgensmeyer on that final lap that they just had. So very interesting. These guys catching up to each other, and it's going to make for an exciting race. But question is, Pete, when are they going to go in for their 1 or 2 stop? I want to see the strategies. I have a feeling once we see one driver go in, especially if it's going to be Brian McCann, we're going to see a lot of drivers follow, unless they can really take that fuel to the max and make it on one stop only.
And you know that if they go down, they're going to have their spotter or somebody pay attention to pit times. If somebody shows up with just a 5 or 6 second pit time, you know that they only came down, grabbed fuel, and they were on their way. If they're showing about 8, 9 seconds, maybe 10, you know that they took right sides or left sides and filled it up. If they're showing 14 or 15, then you know it was an all-around service full of fuel for brand new Eagle Fuel Goods.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what they do with that. But man, when tires, with how rough they are at the end of a run, I would be very surprised if somebody only took 2 tires. But you know what? I have a feeling someone might try it. Maybe it will work out. I want to see how it goes, though. That's going to be very, very interesting. Jurgensmeyer just over a second behind Brian McCann. Let's take a look in car and see how it's going for him.
Yeah, if you decide to just take lefts or just take rights, you got to think about how your car responds going over the rumble strips, in and out of the bus stop, around through the carousel, running up on the runoff areas. If your car is loose now and you take just rights or just lefts, think about the grip that you're going to have at that point. It may actually throw off the balance of your car and may actually send you for a spin also.
Entering turn 1 here, and you can see you have to get really woed down as we're coming downhill into the right-hander and coming in what is going to be the S's. This is a very important spot that you have to nail, and make sure you use those curbs. Get as close as you can without upsetting that car as you come around the S's. Then we're going to hit the back straight before we head to the bus stop.
And there actually looks like they caught up to a very slow-moving car. I think that might be the 9, if I'm not mistaken. Is that Philip Bridge? Yeah, that was Philip Bridgman in that Bass Pro Gold machine. Good-looking car, but very, very slow on the backstretch.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's just doesn't have the confidence being up to speed with the leaders coming through, so giving them plenty of room to get by, but good on him for letting these guys do what they need to do. It can be a little scary as you're trying to race around other drivers that are in the lead and you're not. You just want to make sure you don't ruin someone's day and your own.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be, when we're talking about road courses and the leader coming up on you, that's really where you got to be what they call predictable. If you're going to run your line, run your line. Don't make any, quick movements. Let the leader know exactly where you are, where you're going to stay, or give them the option. Say, hey, where do you want me? But you definitely don't want to make any abrupt movements as the leader comes by with very limited line preference.
62 laps. Let's think about this. 62 laps without making a single mistake. Going through every corner, nailing every last, brake entry and then exit, getting on the throttle, trying not to absolutely kill those tires. It is just something, it's a rhythm of the track. You hear that a lot. Chris Karch having an issue there. You can see him trying to hold on to it as he was coming back onto track. So great job by him. But yeah, these drivers have a lot on their plate currently, just making sure that you are nailing every corner. And Tom Flitcroft getting completely sideways coming out of that exit does a fantastic job heading into the bus stop, into the grass a little bit. Reminder, they do have to make sure they keep those incidents down. If you don't, you will be doing a drive-through, which will absolutely destroy any chance that you have at getting at least a top 5 or perhaps top 10 finish.
I think Tom Flitcroft might have just been trying to help out the track staff, keeping the grass cut just a little bit. But no, how about Tom Flitcroft right now sitting P13 up 6 spots? He's actually tied for making up the most amount of spots with Jose Ruiz. Jose Ruiz right now running 16th, also up 6. Kevin Dallator, he's up 5. So there's very few people that have made up multiple spots. Nobody in the double digits as of yet, and it looks like a couple people on pit road.
Couple people on pit road, and it is going to be Jeff No and Chuck Cody. Huge damage, it looks like, for Jeff No. Missing the entire front end, and as we were on board with another driver, I could just hear tires squealing, so not sure if that involved Jeff No. Chuck Cody also has some front end damage.
Yeah, Chuck Cody's whole front end kind of pushed in just a bit. Brian McCann still leading. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer is still sitting P2. The last time I saw the gap between those two is about 1.1. Right now up 1.4, almost 1.5, as we take a look back and find out what happened with Jeff No.
I think Jeff No called it a day because he went full throttle into turn 1, and he's probably like, Frozen, why did you have to show that?
Whoa.
It didn't go well for him. Obviously, he did that one on purpose.
I'll blame brake failure for that.
There you go. Yeah,
right.
Technical difficulties on the brakes. We'll go with that.
Oh, boy.
He's probably going to kill me after the stream for that one. But Brian McCann still safely in the lead here. And Brian O'Dell says, no way they're racing in my hometown track, Watkins Glen, New York. Indeed, we are, sir. And it is a fantastic race. Lap 19 headed to 20 after this corner entry right here. And yeah, 12 laps for stage 2, and then we will head into the final part of the race after awarding the top 10 drivers their bonus points.
Yeah, Liza, how fitting is it? You know, my last race for the season with you and you know, the Shake and Bake community. Very, very soon, you know, Watkins Glen, New York is going to be somewhat of my home track as well. Yeah, just 2 very short weeks. Moving on up to the greater Rochester, New York area. Work decided, hey, we're going to move your position on elsewhere. Come on up. And yeah, just couldn't throw away, you know, a double-digit time with my current job. So my wife, unfortunately, had to send in her resignation letter to her company, and she's not too happy about that. Not too happy about having to make the move either. I'd prefer to stay in the nice, warm Carolinas versus a place where they brag about having, you know, 102 inches of snow a year. Not looking forward to that.
I know, and we're gonna miss you while you're gone. But as I told you before stream, I just really hope that everything goes very smoothly for you, and hopefully you learn to enjoy New York and find your beautiful home. And hopefully we'll see you before the season ends. But we'll definitely be missing you out here.
I'll tell you what, if you ever want to go to Niagara Falls or something like that, just hit me up, and my wife will join you and your husband, and we'll make a time of it.
That would be a ton of fun. Absolutely. You guys in chat, let me know. I know Micah, he's got Jordan McGraw. He's out on vacation. Hopefully he's having a drink for us. Let me know, though, if you're out in chat, who do you have winning tonight? Brian McCann, extremely strong in practice, qualified on pole, and still out in the lead. I wouldn't be surprised if we had a few for Brian McCann. Pete, who did you have?
I took Justin Anasigok, but unfortunately he hasn't been able to move up from that P5 spot. It seems like since the beginning of the race. He started 4th, he's fallen back 1, but still staying right there. And I asked if I could take 2 just because I know what Brian McCann is capable of on these road courses. I said during pre-race, I hope that Andrew Wisdom would have shown up this evening because I wanted to see what that competition would have been like. But Jurgensmeyer, he's kind of proven to be a bit pressy as well, trying to get up to McCann's back bumper as that time between settles right around 1.5.
Yeah, we have the end of stage 2 around lap 24, the end of it. So it's coming up very shortly. A funny story, Pete. After Vegas, Brody Falliker had won his 2 races. Yep. Jimmy Cocker is very close to winning his a race. So I told him after the race, I said, you know that you're next. Your win is literally happening next. And he's like, oh, yeah, you know, no, it's not going to happen. But thanks for the confidence. The very next week at Dover, it happened next. Jimmy Cocker got his first win of the season after his teammate got his second win of the season. Brendan won at Auto Club. Now, we need to get Mr. Justin out there, Anasigok. We need to get him a win. So let's try to make it happen.
Yeah, he is extremely consistent on any kind of a track. Shows a lot of speed, shows a lot of great car control. He knows when he has to save tire and when he's got to save fuel. And he has come a long way. He completely despises the next gen car. He said he's happy right here in these Xfinity machines.
Yeah, he obviously loves these cars a lot more than the next gen. So great to see him out here. He joined us last season and is staying with us this season. I don't know what we'll be in for next season, but hopefully we'll see him out there again. But Brian McCann, I do believe this is his 3rd race with us this season. And he won one of them already. And it looks like so far he might get his 2nd win of the season. Unfortunately, with only racing 2 or 3 races, he is not going to be eligible for playoffs. But I'll tell you what, it would have been really fun to see what happens. But everything that I've seen from Brian, he has been flawless. No mistakes from him whatsoever. I mean, maybe something happened off camera, but I can tell you, he's fast, and it doesn't look like he is wanting to slow down anytime soon.
Yeah, Brian McCann won the season opener with a push from Justin Anisgok at Daytona. He raced a couple weeks ago at Dover, where he made a mistake, only taking 2, ended up spinning out and taking a couple of full-time drivers with him. He felt very, very apologetic about that. But yeah, tonight here at the Glen, so far, very, very steady. As you said, flawless. I'd like to see somebody come on up there and try to challenge him, maybe a season regular, for a max points night. But right now, that 6, it looks like he's just on cruise.
Yeah, you can see he's got Jonathan Jurgensmeyer right behind him in that red car, and directly behind the red car is going to be Brody Faliker. He's got 2 wins this season, very incredibly strong, up 2 positions from where he started. We'll see if he can't make up another position or so, but lap 24 of 62, this stage 2, is quickly coming to a close. And stage 3 will start, and we'll find out who the winner is tonight. But Brian O'Dell says, I have Brian McCann. He's going with that same name, and he's thinking Brian is going to get it done.
Talking about Brody Faliker in P3, he's been faster than the top 4 of the last 5 laps by as little as 5 100ths, but also by as much as a little over 3/10. So he's Brody Faliker, he's another one that is strong every single week. I keep looking for the car that he used to run in next gen, because this 42 machine, he was saying at the beginning of the season he wasn't happy about the next gen cars. He wasn't quite sure how he was going to be. Well, look at him now.
Look at him now. He's doing phenomenal out there. Jurgensmeyer almost a second and a half behind. These guys, it's just crazy. Let's see if we can find out any close battles out here. Francis Hamilton, he's got Brendan Book directly behind him. And Brendan Book, he just got the win last week at Auto Club. That was his first win in a couple of seasons, I do believe. So he was pretty excited about that. Great momentum. He's going to be locked into the playoffs. He's got Jordan McGraw directly behind him. He's gained 2 spots from where he started. That is Micah's pick right there. And Luke Allen. I love that paint scheme. I'll tell you what, I don't know. It's just something about that. But he is up 4 spots from where he started, sitting P9.
Yeah, we talked about him when we went through the field earlier in that number 67 Cookie Monster machine. He's still sitting right there in P10. That Toyota still looks very, very steady for the most part. He's got the 9 breathing down his neck. That is not a battle for position. The next car behind him for P11 is going to be Forrest Smith. Started 11th in that patriotic machine, still sitting at 11th. Connor Cunningham, you talked about how strong he was last week. It looks like he's kind of traded in the Dale Earnhardt throwback or scheme and went with something completely different, sitting P12. Tom Flitcroft up to P13, up 6 spots. Takes the biggest mover title to himself. Chris Karch right behind him in the 40. He's up 1 for P14. And then Joe Bird, a guy that has shown a lot of promise in that number 93 Pepsi machine. He's up 3 to round out the top 15 cars.
Jose Ruiz, he's up 6 spots, sitting 16th in that 23 machine. So he's made some good momentum going into the race. Josh Taylor, he's going to be 17th in that 2 machine, loses a spot, but not too bad considering how long we've been into this race. Jarrett Cardwell in that 12 machine, sitting at P18. Dylan C. Robb, he is up 4 spots from where he started in that 16 machine. He sits P19 currently. And Kevin Delator, going to be P20 in that 92 machine, up 6 spots from where he started.
Down 7, talking about Andrew Sanford in that number 37 to P21. Philip Bridgman also down 2 in his Chevrolet to 22nd. Mike Popbear Campbell in that number 71 Ford. He's up 1 spot to P23. John Honeycutt, Jeff Noe, and Chuck Cody all early retirees. Actually, I take that back. The 50 John Honeycutt, he's back on track, just several laps down.
Yeah, 2 laps down, but it's good to have him back out there. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to get anything back from it. There's going to be probably, knock on wood, no cautions. It's very rare for a caution to come out here on a road course. The track has to be completely blocked. I don't see it happening. Brian McCann still just over a second and a half ahead of Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. Brody Falker about 2 seconds back, sitting P3. These guys are still moving. We'll see if Brody Falker can make it up to Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. Jonathan is in an interesting position. I mean, he's got his eyes set on our leader, but he also can't mess up because he's got Brody breathing down his neck, waiting for something to happen so he can take full advantage of that situation.
Yeah, that 42 is flat coming again between lap 23 and lap 27. Brody Falliker was faster than the leader and Jonathan Jurgensmeyer 4 of the last 5 laps. Again, it was a mix between hundredths and then enough on lap 26 he was 0.454 tenths faster. So Brody Falliker, he is coming. I don't think he's going to be denied. I don't think Jonathan Jurgensmeyer is going to be able to keep him behind if he chooses to do so. He might just say, hey, man, you're faster. I'll try to follow you. Let's go.
Yeah, there's still a ton of laps left to do, so it's still a little early. We'll see, but we are coming up on pit stops. This is stage 3. Remember, these guys can get around 30 laps in a fuel tank. So I think in the next 3 or 4 laps, we'll see these guys definitely come on in.
I think if they're going to do this on the one stop, barring any kind of track blocking caution, as we got a battle for P2. 42 going into turn 1, pulling into the inside of that double O. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer had nothing to say about it. 42 was able to outbrake him, getting into the turn, makes it underneath him, and we've got a new second place runner. We'll have to see just how fast Brody Falliker is compared to the double O as well as to the 6 of Brian McCann. But what I was starting to say as that battle kind of took place there for a moment, I think these guys, if they're going to try to cut this in half, barring any caution down the road, they're going to have to go in on lap 31, come out on lap 32. That way they know they're completing it. They're cutting it exactly in half, or maybe a little bit more, depending on what they see with their various tools for fuel pressure.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who comes in now, I'm just not sure that they're going to be able to make it. So I'm kind of wondering if Jonathan Jurgensmeyer slowed up a little bit not to battle and use up that precious fuel, because that is going to cost him a lot. Philip Bridgman, he is out on pit road, but he is already at least a lap down, so we'll see what happens with him. Brian McCann still out on track, so I don't see him coming in at least for another lap or so. But man, I'd be so nervous. Even lap 31, these guys are supposed to get around 30 laps, so they're cutting it close right now.
Oh, absolutely. And it's going to be interesting to see who flinches first. Who's the first one to come on down pit road? Do they come out and look at their fuel possibility and take a look at their tire wear and say, hey, was I pushing too hard? Did I need to push a little bit harder? Was I, or could I, should I try to, back it down just a little bit? Brody Falliker was great here on the long run. Brian McCann was able to keep Jonathan Jurgensmeyer behind. Jurgensmeyer and McCann, their time kind of leveled out right around a second and a half. But since the 42 cop got past the double O, he's kind of set sail, just as the double O did to the 11 of Jimmy Cocker earlier in the race.
Here's what we're going to see. Is Brian going to make his way into pit lane? And it's pretty obvious he is not going. Well, we're not there yet. Sorry. I was getting too excited. Here we go. If he's going to make his way on in, it's going to be very interesting. Lap 31 coming to lap 32. But yeah, looks like they are going to stay out yet.
One more, at least one more.
Yeah,
I think this is max for anybody. So I think the 6, I think the 42, and everybody behind him probably come in this time. And this is the time of the dance, Eliza. Oh, who's going to be super aggressive coming to the line on pit road? Who's got their brake bias dialed in just right? So far, going into and out of the corners, tapping the brake, getting the nose set for the corners, no big deal. Nobody's really spun around that we've seen. Nobody's locked them up. Nobody's wheeled hopped or anything like that. But coming to the coming to the commitment cone for the pit road, it's a completely different animal because you're going from 90 mile an hour, give or take, down to 30 or 35. We're about to see everybody get into their pit stall and come on out at the best possible way that they can.
Yeah, I think pit road, we see Brian coming in. He's in that lane. And here he makes his entry into pit lane. I assume Brody's going to follow him. And our top drivers are making their way in. And luckily, you're coming around that corner. You're already slowed up quite a bit. So it's not a terrible entry into this pit lane here at the Glen.
No, it's not a terrible entry at all, as long as you keep low, because most cars coming off of turn number 7, they're swinging wide out towards the wall. But there are top 3 pulling into the pits. It looks like all 3 able to hit their pit stall. Nobody overshot it. Nobody had to back up. Nobody was too short. And it's all about who takes tires. Is it 2 or is it 4? It looks like at least all 3 taking 4. Brian McCann is going to be the first one off of pit road. The 42 is going to pull out, and then a 00 of Jonathan Jurgensmeyer.
Interesting. Francis Hamilton stays out, and he will be the leader until he goes in. Will he be able to make it? I assume so, that he's confident he will be able to make it. But Jordan McGraw had a kind of a slow entry into pit lane. You can see him still out there getting beat by a couple of drivers that were around him. So not a good pit entry for Jordan McGraw.
Now it looks like the 81 of Forrest Smith, as well as the 8 of Tom Flickroff, 23 of Jose Ruiz, and the 3 of Connor Cunningham. They're all also on pit road as well. So yeah, it is it's full on pit road right now.
Yeah. Let's see here. I thought I saw Jordan McGraw still out on pit lane. He is. So something must have happened. I don't know if it is a penalty as he came into pit lane, but man, so unfortunate to see out there. He continues to drop, sitting 17th as he makes his way back out on track. Francis Hamilton on pit lane. You can see him making his way to the box. That's going to put Brian McCann, no surprise here, back to the lead.
Yeah, back to the lead, and it was under 2 seconds between him and Brody Falliker, but after that stop, he's up 4.5 seconds over the 42 and 6 plus, almost 7 seconds back to Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. That is all about carrying max speed to the commitment cone, getting to your box with no issue, also carrying max speed but not speeding, and then exiting without spinning the tires. So that number 6 Tide ride definitely showing a whole lot of skill, not only on track, but getting on and off of pit road as well.
Yeah, Brian McCann needs to give his pit crew a bonus there. I mean, they got off of pit lane about 14.72. Meanwhile, Brody, it took his crew 15.83, so a full second faster than Brody Falliker's crewmates there.
Yeah, there's some people out there that believe getting on the pit road and getting to your box to where that sign that your crew holds on over for you, where it would actually come down and hit the nose of your car. If you back up a little bit, but you're still in the box, iRacing doesn't tell you to move up. It actually takes your pit crew longer to get to your car. Or if you shoot past your box and you have to back up, that's a time penalty all in itself. So they say if you hit your box perfect, you're going to have the fastest pit stop, of anybody else, unless they do the same exact thing, and you're going to have a benefit when you leave pit road.
Very interesting. Now the question is anyone going to be able to catch up to Brian McCann? Almost 4.5 seconds back is going to be P2 Brody Falliker. And I'll tell you what, he's had an amazing run, getting 3 spots from where he started. The biggest mover we've seen so far is going to be Jose Ruiz, up 8 spots from where he started. Tom Flitcroft up 9 spots, and Kevin Dallator, he's currently 18th, and he is up 8 spots from where he started.
Well, how about Brian McCann? He went ahead and posted the fastest lap of the race with a 1:13.79. 42 says, oh yeah, not so fast. Completely ties that time with a 1:13.79. It had to go all the way down to the 1,000th. So right now, Brody Falliker holding the fastest time here at the Glen.
Yeah, best and the last is going to be his fastest, 1:13.786. Absolutely insane. So he is doing a phenomenal job tonight. It's so fun to see how these drivers handle going to ovals. Who is good at the ovals? Who's good at the road courses? Some of these drivers just good all around. And I feel like Brody Falliker is one of them, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, and Jimmy Cocker doing a great job tonight out here in the top 5. So it's really fun to see. And Brian says, well, once we get 10 to go, I'll do the final countdown. Very cool. Let's go.
Well, one thing I think about Brody Falliker for in that number 42 is still sitting P2 up 3 spots. He was very, very fast on that long run. When I was comparing him to Jurgensmeyer and McCann leading the way, he was faster. Lap after lap. At least 4 of the 5 laps that iRacing keeps time track for. And that was over the long run. He was able to get on by the 11, able to get on by the 00, and he was getting closer and closer to the back end of that 6 after getting around Jurgensmeyer. So we'll have to see how this 42 does in the long run now that he's got that second spot to himself.
Yeah, consistency. I'll tell you what, lap 33 and 34, Brody Falliker, a 1:13.786. The very next lap, he had a 1:13.787. Both the fastest laps so far. So very consistent coming from him. And a 1:14.016 on lap 35, just about 3/10 slower. But I'll tell you what, that is crazy. Micah, you got to be here. We are missing you tonight for sure. You need to have a drink for us, I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's 61 of Micah Allard. Always very, very fast and always in contention no matter where we go. But he's out there in chat tonight. He's racing right along with us here. Micah, thanks for coming out, buddy.
Absolutely. Let's go back to Brennan Book. He's got a little bit of company behind him. Is going to be Luke Allen right on his tail. You can see it here, trying to take a peek wherever he can and pass. And I'll tell you what, these guys are going to be battling, and it's going to be for P7.
Yeah, Forrest Smith right now still holding down the number 9 spot. But I tell you what, Matt Gale, it seems like he has found comfort in P10. He has been there all night long. Since the start of the race, he took those 2 spots. C is for Cookie, and it's good enough for him. I think he's going to stay right there as the night rolls on. But about to get a little bit of pressure from Tom Flitcroft right behind him.
I think so. Micah says that's fair. I'm drinking one for everybody. Oh man, so you're having a good vacation. Let's go.
That's more than double fisting. I don't know.
I know. I'm gone after like a couple of sips, so Chris Karch out here, P13 in that 40 machine. We saw him with earlier trouble. He is still up 2 spots from where he started, so fantastic run for him. I'm a little surprised by Jose, Team FTR. He's up 8 spots, which is actually very fantastic. I mean, it's pretty difficult. Road courses, Pete, you notice that you pretty much finish where you start unless there's some kind of shenanigans happening in front of you and you can make it through. You'll gain a whole bunch of spots, but road courses, usually where you start is very close to where you finish.
Yeah, I think old J-Mac, Jordan McGraw, would say it's feast or famine. And that's exactly what it is. 23, he's got a little bit of pressure right behind from the 2 of Josh Taylor. Josh has been kind of staying right in his tire tracks. But right now, Jose Ruiz and Tom Flitcroft both up 8 spots, tied in the biggest movers of the evening so far as we come to 25 laps to go.
And Josh Taylor almost didn't make it through the bus stop, a little through the grass. And we do have those incident points we do have to worry about. You don't want that drive-through, so you have to mind your P's and Q's here. But Josh Taylor and that 2 machine sitting P15, currently directly behind Jose Ruiz. As Pete said, he's got Jordan McGraw on his tail, so a lot of cars lined up. You can see the 3 right there. And behind them is going to be John Honeycutt, but it's not going to be for position as he had some technical difficulties, lost connection, and had to join back in, which is so unfortunate because he did it during practice too, and everyone was joking, well, at least you got it done before the race. Hopefully that's one and only. Unfortunately, it happened again during the race.
I'll tell you what, as we were paying attention to the 23, the deuce, and the 34, and then, of course, to the 50 of John Honeycutt, caught a little bit of a glimpse of an orange hood kind of starting to track them down. And Eliza, I just took a quick look at the running order. Jordan McGraw right now sitting P16. He is the last car on the lead lap, and they've got the leaders. Oh, I'm sorry, he's got the leader about to start breathing down their necks.
Yeah, you can see it on the track map on the right-hand side. You can see it highlighted in green. It's going to be Jordan McGraw sitting P16. And then you see that bright yellow circle, and it's got a 1 in it. That is going to be Brian McCann, and he is quickly approaching these lap cars. You can see we're on board Brian McCann, and he's got these drivers up ahead. That's going to be John Honeycutt, Jordan McGraw, Jose Ruiz, and Chris Karch, Josh Taylor.
Looking behind Brian McCann, Brody Falliker wondering about his long run speed. When they came out of pit road, he was 4+ seconds behind McCann. He's down to 3.3. Jurgensmeyer, he came out 6 seconds behind. He's down to 10.24. So while Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, he's kind of fallen off a little bit. Maybe he had some issues, not quite sure. Looks like Falliker, he just hit that 3-second mark, dropping it down to 2.9. This 42, he wants this win.
He sure does. I mean, he's doing a phenomenal job out here. Just consistent lap after consistent lap. Jurgensmeyer almost a second slower in some instances. I'm kind of curious if those cold tires were a thing earlier on, but now, yeah, he is definitely slowed up, as you said, Pete. Kind of curious what happened, but currently still safely in P3 spot as Jimmy Cocker, he's about almost 11 seconds behind Jonathan Jurgensmeyer.
Yeah, I tell you what, Brian McCann is setting an absolute, really strong pace. It's tough for some others to match, and I'm just watching that 11 really throw that Virginia Tech machine through the bus stop and through the carousel. He's all kinds of slideways trying to carry as much speed as he can, but meanwhile keeping it moving in the right direction.
22 laps to go here at the Glen in season 4. On board with Jimmy Cocker sitting P4. I'll tell you what, as Pete said, you got to throw these cars in there, try to get all you can. Tires are a little bit more gentle here at these road courses, but you can definitely feel it when you just have a few laps of fuel left if you've really abused them. Holding on to that wheel, going side by side, getting slideways coming through. He's going through the S's. Going to be heading on that back stretch for the bus stop. But looking solid. Brody Falliker just under 2.5 seconds back from our leader, Brian McCann.
Yeah, 22 laps remaining. And again, he was very fast on that long run. It'll be interesting to see if that 42 catches up and what he's able to do with Brian McCann in that number 6 Tide ride as the race rolls on. Back in P5, talking about Justin Anasagak, he's pretty much been there all evening long. He's very fast in practice, but just hasn't been able to make up the track position in the race. Behind him, Francis Hamilton and Brendan Book in that credit 1 number 5. Looks like Kyle Larson paint scheme. Luke Allen having another solid day here at the Glen, up 5 spots, sitting P8. Forrest Smith, last time I saw him, he was sitting 11th.
Ooh.
Now sitting 9th, up 2. And then Matt Gale still holding on to that P10 spot.
Yeah, sorry for all the sound effects, but I'll tell you what, Forrest Smith did not have a good entry into the bus stop and ended up getting turned around by possibly Joe Berg, not exactly sure who, just chaos going through that bus stop. Does a 360, keeps on going, so great news for him. Hopefully not a lot of damage, but man, oh man. It just goes to show you how one little mistake can really affect how your race goes, and these guys just trying to get every position back. Brian McCann, you saw him earlier on, had a lot of traffic to go through. He's made his way past John Honeycutt and Jordan McGraw for Team FTR, and he is going to be working on a couple of more drivers up ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be Josh Taylor and Jose Ruiz in that Colombian number 23, as it looks like we might have a little bit of a battle there between the Deuce and the 23. The Deuce lets the 23 keep the spot. It looked like he's going to try to outbrake him. They both see that 6 getting bigger and bigger in the rear view.
Superior Blaze says, why hasn't anyone punted someone? Race control is bored. Man, I'll tell you what, Blaze, go ahead and take a look back at Forrest Smith. Going through the bus stop, had a little bit of trouble there. Nothing, crazy that you guys have to worry about, but hey, it's something to watch here.
I think that was just all about being line sensitive getting in, because if you're too far over to the right, that guardrail is going to be permanently indented into the passenger side door. As it looks like the 6 about to take over the number 2 of Josh Taylor, very, very fast down the backstretch, heading into turn 6.
I want to take a look at Luke Allen. It says that he crashed. We'll find out what exactly happened. No surprise here. It's going to be whatever issue it was. It's going to be going into turn 1. Yeah. That is just an easy spot to make that happen in, but nothing happens to him. Maybe some angry tires, but he's still moving.
Yeah, looking at the 2. Oh, yeah. Looking at the 2 of Josh Taylor. Josh was one of the ones that was a little upset with Brian McCann last week, or a week or 2 ago at Dover. And Brian, again, felt really, really bad about what had happened. He gambled on 2 tires. They did not work at the Monster Mile. Right now, these 2 are nose to tail. Brian's trying to put him a lap down.
Yeah, here they come. You can just see what a handful it is as these guys make their move around. Superior Blaze says, as soon as I said that, I know, I'm telling you, timing is a huge thing tonight. I mean, I was doing a race before this race, and Jordan McGraw said, so did you get wrecked yet? And as soon as I was about to say no, but I got wrecked. So, so timing is definitely a thing tonight. Superior Blaze says, I gotta complain more. Get some crazy action. Do you really though? No, let's let these guys go. But side by side, it's gonna be Jordan McGraw and that 2 machine of Josh Taylor. That is gonna be for position here, still side by side as they are going into the next corner. Very interesting. I don't know who's gonna make it happen, but Jordan McGraw is gonna have a nose out. Josh Taylor takes it wide. Brody Falliker behind, and this is all for the battle for position. All meanwhile, we have our leaders trying to make their way by.
Yeah, 42 right now trying to get the 2 to possibly move over, but of course Josh Taylor, right now he's in a battle for the first car on the lead lap. The 2 is just going to go ahead and let the 42 go, catch back up to the back end of the 34. Now John Honeycutt right behind the Deuce of Josh Taylor. 42 trying to get his way on by, and while all this is happening, while he's having to struggle with the lap down cars, the same as Brian McCann did, that gap is still sitting right around 1.8, 1.9.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brian had the same issues. I was taking a peek out on him, trying to pass these cars, the same cars. And there's just so many battles going on. You don't want to give up a lot of positions or time, but Josh Taylor, he's probably not very happy having to give up that time, but he knows the right thing to do is just try to let Brody go on by. He's got his own race to worry about, but he did lose a little bit of time to Jordan McGraw there.
Yeah, just a little bit, but as we see some kind of problem with the 8, Tom Plickcroft saw a little bit of smoke on track as the 6 comes around the outside of that, or inside rather, of that Bud machine. Tom Plickcroft's going to go ahead and move on over. Let that number 6 Tide Ride go. Next car in line, or last car on the lead lap, is going to be the 23 of Ruiz.
Jose Ruiz, he's got some company behind him. That is that Tide car Pete was talking about. So a lot of drivers mixed in, a lot of traffic to go through that you have to worry about. A mistake can happen from anyone at any point. Sometimes you feel that pressure and you just mess up. And if that happens in front of somebody, man, it's a tough break to happen. So we'll see what happens here. But the 6 car still off and running. Brian McCann directly behind Jose Ruiz. We'll see when and how he gets on through.
Yeah, Jose Ruiz looks like he's going to go ahead and try to block the spot, but the 6 was just able to get a better run up and off of turn number 7, going down into turn 1. 6 has the advantage. Jose Ruiz is going to go ahead and let that go. Meanwhile, that 42, he's been able to get on by the 8 faster than the 6 car did. So Brody Falliker, last time we were talking about him, he's at 1.9. down to 1.2. That 42, he's coming.
He certainly is, man, and he is just sawing on that wheel, trying to keep it together as we start to head through the bus stop here. We've seen a couple of errors from drivers, and it's going to be Forrest Smith as one of them, and Brody Falliker really cutting the boundaries there, very close. He's going to have to try to get by Jose Ruiz to get up to the back bumper of Brian McCann. We'll see how much time that's going to cost him. Brody really searching for any piece of real estate that he can get here. Unfortunately, Jose is still there, and he's going to battle for it. I mean, he has every right to battle for that spot on track. He doesn't want to lose any other position or time to his competitors, but Brody, he makes it on through.
Yeah, Brody able to make it on through one more time. So that puts the 23. Now the first car 1 lap down if we should happen to have the big one at the Glen. No bowling this evening. Brian McCann now up again to a little over 2 seconds, 2.1. How about Jonathan Jerkensmeyer, though? He continues to fall back through the field, now down 14.6 seconds behind our leader. Jimmy Cocker still sitting 4th. Justin Anaskog, he's just been sitting right there in P5 all night long. Not saying he's not trying to make up spots or anything like that. It just seems like that number 5 spot right around where he qualified is where he continues to run throughout the evening.
Yeah, Jimmy Cocker has been faster than Jonathan Jergensmeyer and Justin Anaskog, but unfortunately he's just too far back to make it up, possibly into the top 2, maybe 3. We have 15 to go, so anything can happen, but man, a top 5 was a really solid night, and he should be proud of his efforts here, doing a great job. Same with Jonathan Jergensmeyer, but I am a little surprised that he's fallen back the way that he has, so very interesting. I'm kind of curious after the race if we'll get him in the booth. We'll find out what happened.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to talk to him. I mean, right now it's another 7+ seconds back to Jimmy Cocker, so he does hold the bottom step of the podium in that 00. Looks like Camaro. So it'll be interesting to find out what happened. Because looking around his car, I don't see any damage. It just seems like he's lost pace somehow.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened here, but Justin Anaskog, he's got Francis Hamilton right behind him, and Brendan Book not too far behind, and that is going to be for P5, 6, and 7. So anything can change with these guys. Francis Hamilton, great race for him. I feel like we've been talking about him more and more, the improvements from these drivers. We talk about it. I love to see it. And Francis is doing a great job out here tonight.
Yeah, qualified P6, and that's right where he is running right now. Brendan Book, he qualified P8. He's up to P7. You mentioned it very, very early in the broadcast. Where people tend to qualify on road courses is typically where they run on track. And I mean, there have definitely been some comers and goers. We got a lot of guys that are up more than they've lost. But how about in saying that, how about Jose Ruiz now up 9 spots, or Joe Berg, he's up 7. Luke Allen, he's up 5. I mean, so we've got some big movers. Kevin Dallatorre, he's up 7 back in P19. So we've got a lot of big movers, but we've got a lot of people that have lost a few spots as well.
And I went on board with Joe Berg as you're talking about him, and he got a little slideways. I don't know if there's some contact between him and our leader, Brian McCann. Maybe a little nudge, or maybe he was just loose trying to hold on to it as the leader was trying to make his way by, but he held on to it and is currently directly behind our leader. That is not for position, but man, some close calls out here. Brian McCann still our leader, and 13 to go, up just over a second and a half over Brody Falliker.
Yeah, last time we talked about him, I mean, we go back and forth between the 42, the 6, the 00, the 11 of Jimmy Cocker, Justin Aniscock, and some of the biggest, some of the comers and goers. And that the last time we talked about the 42, he was back up over 2 seconds. Now he's back down to 1.6. So I don't know if they've leveled out or what the case may be, but I'm looking forward to seeing what the 42 is going to be able to do, because in the first half of the race, this was really where he started to kick it into high gear and made up a lot of time.
Absolutely. Still on board with Francis Hamilton, sits P6 currently, and you can see him directly on Justin Anisagok, directly ahead of him. So we'll see. I mean, he was up closer just a second ago, did not have a great exit in off that last exit point, but man, Justin, a very close call with him and the car behind him, cost him a ton of time. They get through just fine, but a close call.
Yeah, that was Mike Papa Bear Campbell pulling up onto the apron, if you want to call it that, on the outside of the track, basically out of the racing group, allowing the 4 of Justin Aniscock and the 48 of Francis Hamilton to get on by. Brendan Book watched that all while he's sitting there in tow, third car in line.
Yeah, I'm sure if there was a little bit of communication over the mic, a little nervousness, and I hear a car having some issues. I'm not sure who that was. Maybe we can get a look. Kevin Dalator and pit lane. Looks like Dylan C. Robb was the one that had the issue. He's in that 62 car. He is back on the track, but glad everyone made it through.
Yeah, he was facing the wrong way as Justin, Francis, and Brendan Book all made their way by. That's got to be interesting when you're coming off a blind corner and all of a sudden you're seeing the front end of a car looking at you. That's not a good feeling.
Oh man, looked kind of crazy. He's jumping through the bus stop there. Narrowly misses the wall, is able to break up and check up in time to not hit the wall. But I'll tell you what, I bet he was a little nervous going through there. Off he goes though.
Yeah, good job by him to lock it down off track. Let the lead lap cars go on by, grab a gear, get up, get going again. I'm sure his tires are a little upset with him though.
All right, 11 to go. Brian McCann, our leader. Brody Falker, a second and about 3/10 and quickly falling. A lot of traffic that he's dealing with at the moment is going to cost him a little bit of time. You can see Matthew Gale in that 67 machine directly behind. He's had to make their way through a lot of traffic. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, he's going to be sitting P3rd currently. We have Jimmy Cocker in 4th. Justin Anisagok sitting P5.
Yeah, Francis Hamilton again started P6, still right where he runs. Brendan Book in that number 5 machine still sitting 7th, up 1 spot from where he started this evening. Luke Allen up 5 in that number 7 machine for P8. P9 up 3. Again, Matt Gale finally able to crack that top 10 up to P9. Forrest Smith is sitting 10th. He's up 1. Joe Berg in that Pepsi number 93. He's up 7 spots for P11. P12 up 3 is the number 40 for Chris Karch. Behind him, you got Jose Ruiz, one of the biggest movers of the evening, up 9 spots, sitting P13. 14th, down 4, Jordan McGraw in that number 34. And to round out the top 15, talking about the 8 car, Tom Flitcroft up 4 for P15.
16th is going to be Josh Taylor. Starts the same as he is currently, P16. Andrew Sanford in 17th with Jarrett Cardwell. He's going to be 18th, down 1 spot from where he started. Dylan C. Robb, he's gained 4 spots as he currently sits P19. Connor Cunningham sits currently 20th in that 3 machine, down 13 spots. I'll tell you what, he looked great in practice. Not sure what happened here in the race. Unfortunate to see because he had a lot of potential going into the race tonight. Mike Papa Bear Campbell sits 21st, up 3 spots from where he started. Kevin Dalator, he is in pit lane still as he remains P22nd. John Honeycutt, he's not even out here on track. I wonder if he lost connection again, Pete. So unfortunate to see.
Yeah, very unfortunate for John Honeycutt. And I mean, he's got a strong car. We've seen him in races up inside the top 5, applying a lot of pressure to the lead, taking the lead, running some laps, and really starting even at times pulling away from the rest of the field. It's just this evening those connection issues have absolutely plagued him. Talking about plaguing him, kind of wondering what's plaguing the 42, Brody Falliker. Last time we looked, he was 1.4 behind. Now he's down to 4.5. So something going on with that 42. He's going wide into one.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious if he's having some issues with tire wear. We know that he was running him down, and he has lost so much time now. He's still safe from Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. I'm not sure for how much longer, but I'll tell you what, when we're on board with Brody Falliker, we saw Connor Cunningham just hard into that wall, into the first turn, I do believe it was. Let's go back and take a look. Hopefully it's not another Jeff No experience as he goes. You can see him heading into the corner, and this is a huge spot. We warned you guys that this is going to happen, and yeah, he's going to do a Jeff No into the wall there, Pete.
Yeah, we definitely, or I definitely heard somebody's motor expire in a hurry, and it's so unfortunate. You're taking the attention off of the guy that's either right behind you or the guy that's in front of you, wondering what you're doing. Why aren't you braking? Unfortunately, that accidents happen that way, especially when you're that close to traffic. What if he had bounced off that far wall, came back and collected a lead lap car or the leader or P2, P3, whatever? That would not have been a good scenario.
Absolutely. I know Jeff No, when he did bounce back onto the track, and I know a driver had to avoid him with that. So definitely an issue moving forward. But Polish Hammer out in chat says, I want to be back in Tennessee. I love my home of New York, but Tennessee was so fun. I'll tell you what, it is fun down there, and I'm so glad that she had a lovely wedding and everything went amazing. And I'm so glad that you could be there for it. So really cool to see such a lovely person. You guys both are, I should say. But yeah, glad it went well, and I'm sure it's good to be back, though.
Right now, Brian McCann getting on by the 12 of Jarrett Cardwell. That's going to leave Luke Allen in P8 as the last car on the lead lap, 47, almost 48 seconds behind the only guy, or almost the only guy, that has led every single lap this evening. I know that there was one more that stayed out an extra lap or two during the one round of green flag pit stops that we've had. But kind of catching a little glimpse of Ricky Rudd, back in the day in this Tide ride. Very, very good at the road courses. Looks like Brian McCann's right there as well. He's not only good with that throttle pedal, but works the brake just as well.
Brody Falliker, I mean, he sits P2 currently, and he's had 2 wins. Sits P5 in the point standings, about 80 points behind our leader, Justin Anasagak. So tonight's finish in P2 will help him out in the point standings, along with Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, who sits P4. These guys having a great run, but it'll be interesting to see who rounds out the top 3 and gets it done. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, he's 22 seconds behind. I think he's pretty well safe running out the top 3 here. Brody Falliker, unless something happens crazy to him, he should finish tonight in second. And Brian McCann, I don't think anyone can catch him. Brody Falliker, we thought was going to be able to with how quickly he was closing that gap, but unfortunately something earlier happened, and that gap has since opened way up again.
Yeah, I almost wonder if maybe Brody Falliker had a little bit harder of a time getting through the same traffic that Brian McCann got through. Maybe Brian just used different spots on the track. Maybe Brody got a little bit harder into the throttle, where I mean, we're not behind the wheel. We don't know exactly what they were doing or what they were using. But right now, I mean, the 00 of Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, he's got clear sailing in front and behind. He's got no pressure whatsoever. Right now, Jimmy Cocker, he's a good 7+ seconds behind Jurgensmeyer, and ahead of Jurgensmeyer, you're talking about 17 seconds up to Brody Falliker and Brian McCann, he's got 5 seconds back to Falker. So our top 3 are pretty stable as we come to 5 laps to go, unless something big should happen.
Yeah, that gap has increased in between Francis Hamilton and Justin Anasagok. Him and Brendan Book, though, Francis Hamilton and Brendan Book, they are starting to get closer together. So 5 to go. Anything can happen. Brendan Book might be able to catch up to Francis Hamilton. We'll have to find out, but still, anything can happen. I can tell you what, Andrew, wasn't there a couple of road races where he put almost the entire field at least a lap down? I mean, it was something insane.
Yeah, Andrew Wisdom is absolutely the class of the field. There hasn't been a single road race in Shake and Bake's 4 seasons now that he has not won. I mean, he is, if there was a road race in every single playoff session or break, you might as well consider him a shoo-in for the top 4, because that man, he is just flat out lights out when it comes to this kind of racing.
You know he's fast when everyone congratulates him on the win before the race even happens. But Brian McCann,
the lobby open. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Brian McCann, it would have been very interesting to see those two out on track at the same time. But this is making for a relatively close race out here. Brody Falliker, though, he is still falling back, and you can see that time consistently falling back. So just kind of curious what's going on there. 3 to go, though. Time is quickly coming to a close. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer almost 24 seconds back. Jimmy Cocker almost 30 seconds back from our leader, Brian McCann. I mean, there's just no stopping this guy. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, it really looks like the closest battle on track that we visited a few times is what's still going on, until Brendan Book actually just found himself out on the grass between turns 6 and 7. So bring that down to just the 48 and the 4 of Justin Anasagok. Those guys have really been nose to tail, lap after lap after lap. None of them have made any kind of a huge mistake that allowed one car or the other to get on by. Brendan Book now losing time to the 48.
Yeah, you can see that he was just all over that wheel trying to keep that thing straight, but slideways, fishtailing back and forth. He keeps it underneath him, but for how long? We're coming up on 2 to go. As you can see, Brian McCann in that circle. He's got that one in that yellow circle coming across the start-finish line. This race, only 1 to go after this. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, one to go next time by, and only 8 cars back to Luke Allen. He's 50 seconds behind. He's the last car on the lead lap. So this pace that Brian McCann has been setting has been absolutely monstrous. Really been no looking back. It looks like lap after lap, he's just absolutely flawless. That tide ride, I tell you, I don't think anybody else really has anything for him. The only one that showed the only ones, I should say, that showed promise early was Jurgensmeyer and the 42.
Absolutely. We're going to have to get confirmation from Brian McCann, but he already has 1 win this season. He's looking for a second, and I do believe he's raced 2 or 3 races. I want to say 3, so 2 out of 3 race wins. That's pretty insane. But here he goes, making his way past Mike Campbell. Coming up on 1 to go after coming around this final corner. Absolutely insane. This is his race right here. 6 seconds back is going to be Brody Falliker, almost 7 at this point. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, 25 seconds back.
As that number 6 gets into turn 1, Brody Falliker was just then going underneath the start stripe. So white flag is out. The 6, all he's got to do is really just pay attention to his marks one more time. Don't have any kind of big issue getting in and off the bus stop. Don't really ride those rumble strips too much to upset the car. Save maybe a little bit of fuel if you've got to, but half a lap and it's all Brian McCann.
Let's go on board, Brian McCann. He's coming around here from the bus stop, and then he'll be making his way around the carousel here. But man, oh man, almost 7.5 seconds in front of our second place, Brody Falliker. This is the final lap. Brian McCann will be your leader, heaven forbid if anything happens, but if he makes it his way around here, and I guarantee he will be the leader here and the winner at Watkins Glen International for his second race win this season. Here he comes around the final corner, bringing it down the front stretch for the gold bowling here at the Glen. Congratulations to Brian McCann. He gets it done. 62 laps here at the Glen.
How about that? And I think he led 60 of them. So that big, big congratulations to Brian McCann in that number 6 tied ride. Brody Falliker brings it home P2. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer P3. Jimmy Cocker 4th. Justin Aniscock P5. Francis Hamilton 6th. Brendan Book 7th. Luke Allen 8th. 9th is going to be Matt Gale. And Forrest Smith brings it home in a top 10 position.
Yeah, we'll try to get these drivers in the booth with us. But man, what a race. Brody Falliker was having a great run also tonight along with Jurgensmeyer. So we'll get these drivers in. I'll have to track them down in the chat here. But man, we'll try to get Brian in as he is going to be celebrating his second win of the season. Great job by him. All right, Pete, we got Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, we got Brody Falliker. We're just missing our winner, and he's getting ready to celebrate. So let's go on over to Brody Falliker. Brody, what a race tonight. We saw you catching up to Brian McCann, and then quickly later on, we saw that gap increasing. What happened out there?
Well, I was catching him, but I also burnt up my stuff, so...
Yeah, you were catching him big time.
Yeah, once I got a slowdown penalty in the bus stop, I was already at 19x, and I was
wow.
I better cool it. But it was definitely fun trying to catch him. I wish I would have had a little better track position to start the race. I feel like I had something for him, but congrats on Brian. Definitely a great drive.
Absolutely. He had a great result tonight. Second win of the season, and he is part-time. So crazy. But man, I'll tell you what, second for you tonight, absolutely phenomenal. You already have 2 wins this season. I know you're looking forward to getting your 3rd tonight. Very, very close. You had a great run out there, and that's definitely going to help out in the point standing. So congratulations on that P2.
Thank you.
All right, Pete, you want to go ahead and give our winner his interview?
Absolutely, Brian. Big congratulations. Started on pole. You were definitely very, very solid in the practice as well as the warm up. It just looked like that number 6 tied ride could do no wrong with you behind the wheel. I know normally you've got your foot cam as well as your overall camera going. What did it look like from your vantage point, not only as you're making your way through the field, but as you started to catch lap traffic as well?
Hey, Pete, trying to save those tires. Those tires, they wore out pretty quick if you abused them. So during the first stint, I started experimenting with the brake bias, and I was changing it 2 different spots in the track and trying to get that rhythm in and make sure I'd, changed it before the turn and not, over brake or under brake or whatever. So second stint was I was saving tires because I know Brody was fast, man. He had that long run figured out. So fortunately, I came out of the pits a little quicker than he did, and so I was conserving tires a little bit because I was expecting him to catch me, but I'm not sure what happened to him. But that was a good race overall.
Talking about pitting, we were wondering how far y'all were actually able to go on fuel. Was there a little bit of fuel saving involved in this as well as tires? And what were your tires like after that one and only pit stop?
No fuel saving, but we ran it dry, so the lap that I pit on, I could not go another one. Looks like my tires were about 85 in the front and 62 on the left rear and 80 on the right rear.
Absolutely abusing those tires, but you definitely know how to get it done, sir. Congratulations at the Glen for you, and man, you definitely you were the man to beat this evening. Congratulations, Brian.
Thank you.
You got it. Eliza, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer in that double O was able to keep up with Brian McCann early in the race and then fell back after that pit stall. He's with you. Or pit stop. He's with you.
Yeah, did a great job out there bringing it home P3. And I'll tell you what, you're so consistent, whether it's oval or a road course. Just really fun to watch you out there. You started in third, you finished the race in third. Take us through your race, how you were catching Brian McCann and what happened with you.
Yeah, it was a really fun race. I got up second pretty early, and then I was trying to keep pace with Brian and maybe just take advantage of a mistake because I knew he was really quick, and I was just trying to save my tires and everything. And near the end of that first stint, I was trying to close in a little bit and use the tires up before the pit stop. Um, and I hit the inside wall on the bus stop and broke my steering. So that's how that happened. But from there, it was just kind of bring it home in third. So third's fine. I don't know if I don't think I would have had much for Brian there. I would have had to get lucky with lap traffic or something like that. But I mean, all in all, it was really really good. I saved my tires a lot better than I expected. I did a lot of B-fix last month here, and I was really quick on one lap pace, but just couldn't really save my tires. So I'm glad that I pulled that off today nicely, and yeah, it was a good time.
Well, you did a phenomenal job out there, especially for hitting the inside wall. I'm surprised that it didn't affect you a lot more than it did, but phenomenal race for you. P3 tonight, and you are fourth in the standings. I'm not sure what you'll be after this race, but man, top 5 in the standings so far. I can't wait to see what happens in the future here. But next week, it's going to be Richmond. It's going to be a wild race. Pete, we're going to be missing you, and I just hope that everything goes smoothly for you and it goes well.
Yeah, that 3/4 mile D-shaped oval for 180 laps or 88 laps, going to be absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, I won't be able to be in the booth and call the race with you, Eliza, but I promise you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I will be out there in the Lando chat to keep up with Polish Hammer and Matty Joy and everybody else that's here week after week to keep up with everything that happens in Shake and Bake. It's been an absolute pleasure to broadcast with you for the first what could be half of the season. We got Richmond and Darlington before we start the round of 12. Kansas, Dega, and Charlotte for that round. Before that, or after that, we bring it down to just 8 cars for Chicagoland, Iowa, and Michigan, and we're gonna wrap up the season at Homestead for 150 laps. I'm gonna miss a lot of this, but I promise you I'll be out there, kind of maybe lurking a little bit. But I know, bar none, you're gonna put on a phenomenal race for everybody.
These guys always do for sure. We'll miss you, Pete, but man, what a great race tonight here at the Glen. Brian getting that second win of the season, and he's part-time. How about that? Everyone was calling him the SVG of SnB with coming out here. So great job to him and Brody Falliker and Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. Fun race. We'll see you guys next week at Richmond. Have a great night. Thank you so much for tuning in.